Okay, so here we are working with the Andy Warhol color schemes, and as you can see I've loaded some color schemes in my swatches and separated them with some white swatches, and we're going to be making selections with the quick selection or with the masking tool, which is down here. This is the quick mask mode. You want to always make sure that when you start in the quick mask mode that you have your black or white selected here, so the default will go to black and white. And then if you press the quick mask button and you grab a paintbrush, you can start painting the hair. Your bracket keys will make your paintbrush bigger or smaller, or you can come up here and change your brush size and hardness. I'm trying to keep it at 100% for the hardness, and the size you can change depending on what you need. So you are painting the hair red. It's not actually painting red, it is just making a mask, and the mask happens to be red. So I'm going to kind of do a quick and dirty selection here of the hair. I can even go right over the earrings, and then you can always come back and change this later if it's not looking quite like how you wanted it to. And I'll come in here and get this part. And then I'll use the bracket keys to make my brush smaller to get in here. Okay, so I have a general selection there. Command plus zooms in, and with your space bar you can move to get closer in and see what you have there. And if you decide that there are certain areas you painted too much, you can just come back in with the white and say, I actually didn't want that part in there, and kind of clean up your selections. So that's what you should do. I'm not going to spend too much time cleaning up this selection for demonstration purposes, but you get the point. You can also come into the earrings and do the same thing. Just subtract out the earrings from your selection by painting over that area in white. Same thing over here. And when you get something like what you want, then you push the quick mask button again, and then the important thing is you're going to see some marching ants along the outside of your document, and that reminds you that you need to go to select inverse. Now you have just the hair selected. Then you're going to come over to your swatches and you're going to pick a color that you want to use to color in the hair. Make sure that's loaded as your foreground color over here before you go into this button down here in the layers palette and just say solid color. And then it made a solid color of the hair. And the last step is to go up to your layer blending modes and say multiply. So there you have the hair colored in. Now you can see that there's some areas that might not be perfect that you want to work on. You can actually go into your layer mask. If you select it, it gets this little frame around it. And in your layer mask, as long as you're in painting black or white, you can see that painting black takes away, or if I paint with white, it will add to the selection when I'm in the mask. So I can come in here and fix it up. So the good news is you can always come back in and fix things up and change them. Okay, so let's select back into our original picture, and now we're going to make the lip selection. So we need to be in black and white. Then you click on the Edit and Quick Mask, and you can adjust your brush size to a size that's going to work right on the lips. Mine wasn't showing up because white was in the foreground, so I'll put black in the foreground. And now you can see kind of painting the lips. And again, if you want to get in closer, you can zoom in a little bit closer and get those details a little bit better. You don't want to get the teeth as part of the selection. So that's pretty good. Command 0 gets you all the way back out again. I'm going to push the quick mask mode again, and you see that I have the lips selected, but it also has everything around there. So I need to go to select inverse. Now I have only my lips selected. I go over to my swatches and I pick a color for my lips, and then I will come here to my solid color, and now my lips have been colored. And the last step is to come in and say multiply in my layer blending mode. So now I have hair and lips. I'm going to quickly do the eyebrows. So I need to be selected in original picture, then make sure I'm in black and white, then adjust the size of my brush. I'll just do a big oops, what happened there? I forgot to push the quick mask mode button. So once I click in there, you want to see something that looks kind of red like that. Got it there and there. Then push back the quick mask and go into select inverse. Go over to my swatches, choose a color. Come down here to my layers palette to solid color. Say OK, and then my blending mode is multiply. Okay, last but not least, the face, and that is the most challenging perhaps. So we're going to go in and make sure we're in black and white, click on the quick mask, and you're just going to paint the whole face and the body. So I'm using my bracket keys to make my brush larger, and I'm trying to do this rather quickly. So I can come in at first with a big brush and get most of that skin area. Then I can get into more detail by using a smaller brush and zooming in, using my space bar to move, and just come in here and grab a little bit more of the face. You can see how that face selection is going to meet up with your hair selection, and you don't want them to really overlap too much. So I'm just kind of finishing this one up here. This is a really quick and dirty job. You really want to take your time, but I'm trying to go quickly. Okay, so then I want to subtract out from my selection the lips and the whites in the eyes. So that means I should be painting in white now and make my brush smaller. And then I can come in and subtract out the inside of the eyes there. Paint that a little bit more. Then I'm going to subtract out all the lips. I could be using a bigger brush right now, that would probably help. Go a little quicker. Okay, you see how up at the top of the lip I might have taken too much, so I can come in and there. Okay, so that's about good. Oh, I could also go back into my white and make my brush smaller and erase out some of the earring again. We don't want that in our selection. And I'm going to add a little bit back in there. Okay. And then I will click my quick mask button again, go to select inverse, then choose my color, and come down here to make a new solid, and then say OK. Looks pretty scary right now. And then go to multiply. Okay, so you can see the face. I'm going to put that layer behind all the other ones, and now you can see everything is there. I can turn things on and off. You see hair, lips, eyebrows, which are very subtle, but they're there, and the skin, and my original picture. So you should be saving often. Command S to save. And then I can put a group in there by pushing this little file folder down in the layers. Create a new group. Move that up to the top and call that mono or monochromatic. And then if I put everything inside of this group, then there I have everything. I can even put the original picture inside there. So when everything is in there, it becomes like one layer, which will make the next step easier. Now you also need to have your swatches, so we can make those pretty quickly with this rectangle tool. Just come down and drag out a rectangle, and it's filling with that first color. I'll drag out another rectangle and another rectangle. And I'm trying to get these all about equal, but it's okay if they're not exactly equal. Okay, so I have 4 rectangles. I can come back and change the color just by double-clicking here and choosing colors from my swatches. So double-click here and choose a color from my swatches, and double-click one more and choose a color from my swatches. These colors in my swatches are very similar. Okay, and then last but not least, I'm going to take my type tool in the tool palette and draw a text box and label this monochromatic. I'm going to come up to my font size and maybe make it 18 points, and the color of my font, I'll make it black, and then I will type in monochromatic, and I can highlight that and make it bigger. Shift Command and the greater than sign on your keyboard makes something bigger. If it's bigger, it's easier to read. And you might even decide to place it in a different area that makes it easier to read. I think down here it's going to work better. Command S to save. Command 0 to get everything into one area. Okay, now I'm going to show you that all of these things that we just made, we can also put inside of our mono group. So I'll just drag this in inside my group here, but I need to pay attention to making sure that those layers are still staying on top. So I got to put this up here. Now you can see that box. This one, my type, and my other shape. Now they're all inside mono. So everything is inside of this, and the reason we do that is so we can duplicate. If I control click and say duplicate group, now I have another one, and I'm going to call this one analogous, which is our next color scheme. And then, ta-da, all I have to do is move this over and recolor the boxes with an analogous color scheme. Imagine that. So I can double click here and just use the colors from my analogous color scheme now. So I'll change that to a purple, double click this one, change it to this pink, double click this one, change it to another pink. And the analogous color scheme, it gives you a lot, so you get to decide what ones you want to use. Okay, so there I have my color scheme. So then I'm going to do the same thing. Come in here and say this color. Or no, let's do a lighter pink. That's probably better. And then come into this one here and say this color. Come in, I'm double clicking in my colored box, and then I'm just picking out a color from my swatches over here, and it goes extremely quickly. See how quick this one went in comparison to here? And then we will just type in our type layer. So as long as we're in our type layer, we are going to select that and change it to analogous. Now you're going to do the last two on your own. You don't need me anymore. You know how to do it. So you will do your split complementary and your tetrad color scheme, and then you'll have 4 all ready to go on the page. Hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. See you in class.